Meta has just revealed an AI system that can turn brain activity into text without putting anything inside the brain. No chip implanted inside the skull, no surgery, no wires connected to the nervous system. Just brain signals, an external scanner, and an AI model trying to work out what sentence a person is typing. And the reason this story is so important is because it sits right on the line between two very different futures. One is incredible technology that could help people communicate when they cannot physically speak. The other is a future much more uncomfortable, a world where brain data becomes the next thing that companies want to collect, decode, and control. But the real story isn't Meta can read your mind now. It's stranger than that, more limited than that, and potentially much more important than it sounds at first. So before everyone starts panicking about mind-reading AI, here are the key things you need to understand. So the first thing to understand is that Brain2Qwerty is not a general mind-reading product. It doesn't mean Meta can read your thoughts through a phone or a headset or a pair of glasses. It doesn't mean someone can point a device at your head and see what you're thinking. The system was tested in a controlled lab setting using specialized brain recording equipment while participants performed a specific typing task. And that distinction is important because the online reaction to this story is being exaggerated very quickly. The phrase brain to text makes people imagine silent thoughts being pulled out of the brain, but in the actual study, participants listened to sentences and then typed those sentences
while wearing a magnetoencephalography system, also called MEG. So the system is not decoding every private thought, it is learning the relationship between brain activity and sentence production during typing. That is still impressive because the signal is coming from outside the skull and the model is trying to reconstruct language from noisy brain recordings. But it is a very different thing from the scary version people may imagine. And once you understand that it is not general mind reading, the next obvious question is simple. What exactly did Meta build? So Meta's brain thing is essentially a non-invasive brain-to-text decoder. Non-invasive means the system does not require implanted electrodes inside the brain. Instead, it uses MEG, which measures the tiny magnetic fields created by brain activity from outside the head. This is the main reason the announcement matters. Some brain-computer interface systems can perform well because they use invasive recordings, where electrodes are placed close to brain tissue. That can produce cleaner signals, but it requires surgery, and surgery brings serious medical risk. Meta's research is trying to move more of that capability into a non-invasive setup. The trade-off is that non-invasive signals are much harder to decode. When the brain activity is recorded from outside the head, the signal is weaker and noisier. So the challenge is not just building an AI model that understands language. The challenge is building an AI model that can find useful language signals inside messy biological data. That is why the next point matters so much. If the signals are this noisy, then the performance numbers tell us whether this is just a demo or a real research milestone. The number Meta is putting front and center is 61% average word accuracy. In the paper, this is reported as a 39% word error rate, which means the system is still getting a lot wrong, but it is also recovering a meaningful amount of the sentence. For a non-invasive brain decoder, that is a major result. The best participant result is even more impressive. Meta says the top participant reached 78% word accuracy, and the paper reports a 22% word error rate for the best subject in its final summary. For that participant, the system could decode a large share of sentences with very few mistakes. But this is where the story needs balance. A 61% average word accuracy is not the same as a finished communication tool. If you were using this every day to speak to family, write messages, or control a computer, the errors would still be frustrating. Meta's own project page says the system is not yet good enough for everyday use and still makes too many word level and character level errors. So the result is exciting because it is a research breakthrough, not because it is ready for the real world. And that raises the next question. How did Meta get this jump in performance? The simple version is that Brain2Qwerty does not try to decode language from brain signals in one basic step. It uses a pipeline that works across characters, words, and full sentences. The paper describes an encoder, an aligner, and a language model working together. The encoder tries to extract text-related patterns from raw MEG brain activity. The aligner connects brain-derived chunks with word-level representations. Then the language model helps generate the final sentence using both the predicted text signals and neural information. This matters because language is not just random letters. Words depend on the words around them. Meta says fine-tuning large language models on neural data help the system use semantic context. In normal words, the model is not only asking what letter might this signal represent, it is also asking what sentence makes sense given the surrounding words. That is exactly where modern AI models are powerful. The paper also says Meta used AI agents to explore improvements to the decoding pipeline. That means AI was not only part of the final brain-to-text system, it was also used to help improve the research process itself. The agents tested configurations, and some of those configurations improved performance compared with a default setup and an up-tuner baseline. So the key idea is this. Noisy brain signals become much more useful when they are paired with AI systems that understand language structure. But that leads directly into the next point, because a model like this is only as good as the data it learns from. 5. The dataset was small, controlled, and very specific. Brain2 was trained and tested on 9 healthy adult volunteers at the Basque Center on Cognition, Brain, and Language in Spain. Each person was recorded for about 10 hours, creating around 22,000 typed sentences in total. The participants were native English speakers, right-handed, and proficient typists. That setup is important because it shows both the strength and the limitation of the research. On one hand, 10 hours per participant is a serious amount of controlled neural data. On the other hand, 9 people is still a small group, and they were not the patient patient population this technology is ultimately supposed to help. The task was also very controlled. Participants listened to a sentence, waited for a cue, and then typed it. The letters were not displayed on screen while they typed, and participants were told not to use backspace. So the system was learning from a clean experiment, not from messy real-world communication. This matters because if a system works in a clean lab task, the next challenge is proving it can work in messier conditions. And that brings us to one of the most important limitations. The people who need this technology most may not be able to provide the same kind of training data. 6. The real patient version is much harder. The long-term promise is helping people who cannot communicate because of brain lesions, paralysis, or other serious conditions. Meta says this research could eventually make a real difference for millions of people who suffer from brain lesions or disorders that prevent communication. But the current study was not done with those patients. It was done with healthy volunteers who could hear sentences and type them on a keyboard. That matters because the model had access to a task where the intended sentence and typing behavior could be measured. In a real patient scenario, the person may not be able to type at all. The paper directly points out this challenge. It says patient deployment remains critical because actual key presses would be missing during inference and possibly during training or fine-tuning. In simpler terms, the model may eventually need to learn from people who cannot provide the same clean keyboard data used in this experiment. That does not mean the research is pointless. It means the lab result is a starting point. The hard version is adapting the system to the people who would actually use it, people who may not be able to move, speak, or produce the same training signals as healthy volunteers. And even if researchers solve that patient challenge, there is another major obstacle before this becomes practical: the hardware. 7. The hardware is still a huge problem. Brain2 used MEG hardware, and the paper describes a 306-channel cryogenic MEG system. That is not a small consumer headset. It is large, expensive, specialized equipment. This is one of the biggest reasons the system is not close to being something ordinary people use at home. Meta's project page says the MEG device used in the study is a large scanner that is inaccessible to most patients. That sentence is important because it cuts through the hype. The software result is exciting, but the physical device is still a serious bottleneck. The paper does mention a possible path forward through newer sensor technology, including optically pumped magnetometers, which are room temperature wearable devices. Meta's project page also says some MEG sensors are now wearable and could be more practical in clinics, but could become more practical is not the same as ready now. So the next phase is not only about better AI models, it is also about whether brain recording hardware can become smaller, cheaper, safer, and easier to use while still capturing signals good enough for decoding. And that matters because hardware will decide whether this remains a lab result or becomes a real communication device. 8. It is not truly instant word-by-word communication yet. Another detail that is easy to miss is latency. Meta describes Brain2V2 as capable of real-time sentence decoding, but the paper also says the current model is not based on a causal architecture and works with an entire sentence. That means it is not the same as seeing each word appear instantly as someone produces it. This is important because sentence-level context helps the model make better predictions. If the system can look at the whole sentence, it can use more context to guess the right words. But if a person wants live communication, waiting until the sentence is complete can feel slow. The paper says this would not allow users to see the word they type before the sentence ends. So even though this is a step toward real-time brain-to-text, the current design still has a practical communication problem. A future system would need lower latency, better accuracy, and a way to decode useful text as the person is producing it. And that leads into the biggest reason researchers are still optimistic. The system appears to improve as more data is added. 9. The scaling result may be the most important part. One of the most important findings is that decoding accuracy improved with more data. Meta says accuracy improves log linearly with data volume, and the paper says performance did not show a clear plateau in the tested range. That means adding more neural data could keep improving the system. This is a big deal because AI progress often depends on scaling. More data, better models, and better training setups can produce major jumps. If brain-to-text decoding follows a similar path, then today's 61% average word accuracy might not be the ceiling. It might be an early point on a curve, but there is a catch. Scaling brain data is not like scraping text from the internet. Collecting high-quality neural data is expensive, slow, sensitive, and complicated. You need participants, consent, hardware, ethics approval, careful data handling, and a reason for people to spend hours in a scanner. That is why Meta is releasing training code for Brain2Qwertyv2 and V2, and why BCBL is releasing the V1 dataset. The project page says the V2 dataset is embargoed until journal publication. Open tools and open data can help the research community test methods and build better systems, but scaling this field still depends on collecting neural data responsibly. 10. The real debate is about brain data, consent, and control. The biggest long-term issue is not whether this exact version of Brain2 can read your thoughts. It cannot do that in the way people fear. The bigger issue is what happens as brain decoding systems become more accurate, more wearable, and more widely studied. The paper says this study used written informed consent, local ethics approval, and de-identified anonymized records. Those are important safeguards. But if brain-computer interfaces become more common, society will need rules that go far beyond one research study. Brain data is not normal data. It can be connected to intention, attention, movement, language production, and potentially other sensitive states. Even if today's systems are limited, future systems may reveal more than users expect. That means consent has to be clear, data use has to be limited, and people need real control over how their neural data is stored, shared, deleted, and used for model training. This is where the story becomes bigger than Meta. Brain2, Brain2Qwertyv2 is a research milestone, but it is also a warning that AI and neuroscience are moving closer together. The upside could be life-changing communication tools for people who cannot speak. The downside could be a future when neural data becomes another commercial data stream unless strong rules are created early. Final takeaway. So the simple takeaway is this: Meta has not built a finished mind-reading product, but it has built a serious research system that moves non-invasive brain-to-text closer to reality. Brain2Qwertyv2 can decode typed sentences from MEG brain recordings far better than previous non-invasive methods, and the best results show that the gap between invasive and non-invasive brain-computer interfaces may be narrowing.